You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live.
Hello, welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast, or for one night only, Poddymore Heath. Ash, do you remember that? Poddymore Heath?
That's got Matt Kendrick all over it.
One of the proposed names that Matt Kendrick came up with, Poddymore Heath, because the lights are still on at Poddymore Heath tonight as we sit here at 11:10 on a Thursday evening for transfer deadline day. The window's literally just slammed shut, whatever that means. And Jan Bednarek is the latest signing through the door, literally 5 minutes before the deadline. Nobody's so happy to see Jan Bednarek, to be honest. I've just been waiting for it all day, to be honest, from a work perspective. Just waited to just post it and get it gone. Ash, John, thank you very much for joining me at late notice, and thanks to the Villa fans for jumping on with us. There's been a lot of other Villa podcasts who have done their shows tonight to kind of see in the 11 o'clock deadline, whereas we thought let's wait for it just in case something does happen out of the blue. So thanks for sticking with us for the next half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever we decide. If I stop waffling, we can get on with it. John, Ash, how are we both? Busy, long day?
Yeah, okay, really. I missed the last two games, so I've been spared of that. I've laboured that with John, who was at West Ham and Arsenal for me, so he's witnessed them too. But full on day today, just waiting around. There's a lot of waiting. Douglas Luiz dominating it. What's happening? Bids rejected. Oh, nightmare. And Arsenal didn't stump up the cash in the end. So yeah, bit of a, don't know how to describe today. Bit of a funny old day, really. And here we are now, two signings on deadline day.
More involved at deadline day than I thought we were probably going to have when we signed Kamara and Coutinho and Carlos within like a week of the season ending. I thought, we'll do all our business early. We won't be faffing around at 11 o'clock on deadline day yet. Here we are. John, how are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Weird one, as Ash says, we were almost dominating all the headlines today in a strange way, but it was only one player, and it was a continuous Arsenal bid, and it went up 2 million a few times, and what were they, like 20 million out of valuation? So I think I said to you, Dan Perslo's probably just copied and pasted the same message or email. I don't know how they do it, but Edu, I don't know what it was. It went from 20 million to 25 million in the space of about 11 hours. Bizarre.
Yeah, because if you reject 23 million, you reject 25. And people, there'll be Arsenal fans that stumble upon this going, you're holding him to ransom and lose out on 25 million, letting him go for free. Yeah, all right. I don't care if that's what the club decide to do. Let them do that if that's what's happened.
Cough up.
I mean, people say he's not worth 25 million, but we wouldn't be able to replace him at this stage. So, you could have sold him and replaced him in January potentially, but we've got him. So, see what happens. Maybe he signs a new contract, and this was all just a ruse to get more money from his agent or whatever. So, where are we? Transfer window roundup. Let's talk about the summer window as a whole. We're going to do outgoings, incomings, and kind of a best 11 as well. We'll talk about Dendoncker and Bednarek throughout this as well. We'll start with. Do you want to start with incomings or outgoings? I'll let you two decide.
Incomings. Come on.
Incomings, positive.
Okay.
Maybe positive.
Just so I can press my other button. So incomings, it's 7 in the end, if I've done my maths correctly. Coutinho, Olsen, Kamara, Diego Carlos, Jan Bednarek, Dendoncker, and Augustinson. I don't think I've missed anyone out there. Before we go into any specific names there, is that enough? 7 players? Are we happy with the incomings, or do we still think we're a bit short? Come to you first, Ash, because you had a little raw smile on your face there.
It's hard to say, isn't it? We don't know yet. We've proofs in the pudding, and we've lost 4 out of 5. We're sitting 19th. And over to you, Stephen. But feeling a bit flat given the recent results and the performances, really. So you're hoping, aren't you? You're hoping these two signings add that little bit of steel, a bit of profile, a keyword Gerard keeps using. I do like Dendoncker. I've liked him for a while. Always plays well against the Villa. Steams into your opposition. Looks a good deal on the face of it, that one. 13 million quid. Belgian international, 120 Premier League games for Wolves. I do like that one. We are left a bit underwhelmed, aren't we, given all the promises and all the pre-season stuff. And the form doesn't help, does it really? And player performances of late. So, and Bednarek, I think that's just a body, isn't it? Given Courtney's gone out, he's your 4th centre-back. Nearly 50 caps for Poland, okay. A decent spell at Southampton for a while, but they've let him go for a reason on loan. So he's fell down the pecking order there. So, we'll just Villa signing a couple of cast-offs. That's what it looks like on the outside looking in. But hopefully they will discover a bit of form. Maybe Dendoncker win a bit of style at Wolves. Had such a successful period there. maybe he needs a new lease of life, and this could be the making of him. And like you say, I do like that deal, to be fair. But are we short? I'd say yes. But maybe, I think, like you say, Gerrard needs to get the better out of these players, get much more out of these players he's got at his disposal. So, yeah, there's more questions and answers, and we're going to Man City on Saturday, Leicester and Southampton. It's down to these 3 games now, whether we'll see a managerial change or not. So yeah, I think we are a bit short still, but it's down to Gerrard and the playing staff to kick on. As McGinn said last night, it's not good enough. So over to you, boys.
Well, it's from a physical point of view, it's a bit more height in there. Dendoncker and Bednarek
Exactly that.
above 6 foot, 6'2" and 6'3", I think, but the two of them. Much needed bit of physicality in there.
Oh,
I think you're right with Bednarek being cast off as such, but he's come on loan from Southampton. They obviously don't. I think it's fine to let him go to Aston Villa effectively, but I think he's got more of a chance of competing for a second centre back spot than Courtney Hawes would. So is he better than Courtney Hawes? Probably yes. Is he better than Diego Carlos, who we've lost through injury? Absolutely not. So are we kind of back to square one at the back end of last season? Yes. Am I going to keep asking myself questions and answering myself? Yes. John, what do you think of those two on deadline day?
Yeah, I think on deadline day, that's as good as you're going to get, really. You're not going to bring in a centre-half on loan that's got that many appearances, Premier League appearances, than what you got in Bednarek. Again, we haven't necessarily improved that department of the team, but we know what happened to Carlos, so it's hard to sort of criticise that. The only criticism, one of the criticisms I would have, is that we are lacking those wide forwards still. Coutinho and Buendia can both do that job to an extent on the left. Obviously, Bailey's the only sort of natural wide man that we have in the team. And obviously, we went for Sarr, and that didn't come off for one reason or another, but that proves that we wanted a wide player. So I am surprised that we haven't gone out and bought the wide player, considering that's clearly what we wanted. So yeah, that one's a bit bizarre to me. But I think we've got 2 players for pretty much each position now. Up front, we obviously have that in Ings and Watkins. I say in the wide areas, I don't think we have that necessarily in terms of natural width, but we have players that
we don't have 2 wingers. Never mind 2 in each position.
So we have
is an out-and-out winger.
Buendia and Coutinho can play off the left, but they're not. But they're not. You say wingers, whether Gerrard doesn't necessarily play with those players, but if there is a new manager change at some point in the season, then again we only have 1 natural winger. In the midfield, we've improved with Kamara. Then Dendoncker, I think it brings something that we don't have and that we haven't had for a few years now at Villa. So yeah, I don't know. I think again, Ash hit the nail on the head. It's hard to judge at the moment after losing 4 of the first 5 transfers. Isn't really well. It's kind of irrelevant. Not irrelevant, but I think it's Gerrard said yesterday. It's kind of tough to even talk about because we're in such a rut at the moment. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Apologies if I've got internet problems, by the way. I've got a Wi-Fi signal up there that's saying I've got bad connections. Hopefully you can see and hear me okay, or hear me at least. Yeah, incomings, I don't know. When you read those names out, Coutinho was already here last season. Olsen's a backup goalkeeper. Carlos, who's obviously unfortunate. No one expected him to get injured on second week of the season. Bednarek should be a decent option. And, I was kind of underwhelmed by Callum Chambers, to be honest. So I kind of feel the same about Bednarek. So it surprised me. Maybe he'll be better than we think. It's a season-long loan. Whether there's an option to buy or an obligation to buy, I'm unsure. Because obviously if Carlos comes back to fitness, you don't really need Bednarek after that. Dendoncker I quite like. I think that's a decent sign. I think if that was a Newcastle or a Palace or maybe Everton signed him tonight, I'd have gone, that's quite a smart deal. I think 12 million, 13 million, good international caps, had a good couple of seasons at Wolves, and he's just surplus to requirements now because they have made good improvements to their midfield. Moutinho still kept Neves and Nunes in there as well. Dendoncker's not going to get minutes, and he's can be played as a centre half as well, and they don't play 3 at the back anymore. So his minutes have drastically gone down. So I don't think there were people saying he can't even get to the Wolves team while we signing him, but it doesn't always work like that. Somebody signed Buendia today, they don't look at that and go, he can't get into the Villa team, he must be crap. It doesn't work like that. So
it's exactly the same for Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one I was going to come on to then. Talking about Douglas Luiz not being good enough for Aston Villa. But Liverpool, Atletico Madrid, Arsenal, whoever it was over the last couple of days are going, we might go for 20 million or so. So it just doesn't always work like that, and he's got to now prove it on the pitch for Villa. And like you said, Ash, is good age, good profile, good physicality in there, and also gives us the option to play 2 holding midfielders, him and Kamara as a 2, and have a bit of a change of system. So ticks a lot of boxes for me, Dendoncker.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I was speaking to the lads in the office today. Quite a small team, Villa, aren't they? So these 2 signings bring some much needed height in both boxes as well. Villa been suspect at set pieces. So these 2 lads bring some height and a bit of presence in there we've lacked for a long time. So, yeah, overall, it's okay, I'd say. And hopefully they prove to be shrewd additions there.
I've got a clip from our Wolves colleague Alex Dickin, who covered Villa for a spell, to be fair, but knows everything about Wolves and a lot more than we do, and will have seen Dendoncker. So let's hear what he had to say about him earlier.
I mean, Bruno is quite insistent that he wanted him to stay, that he wants him to stay, and that I think he said he thought he would stay as well. That's obviously, we've been hearing different for quite a while now. I think, even in July, we were hearing that if Wolves managed to upgrade their midfield, then there's potential for Dendoncker to move on. There's been a lot of interest in, to be honest, in Premier League clubs. I mean, Aston Villa are now in pole position to sign him, having agreed a £13 million fee. Before that, Everton, West Ham, Newcastle. West Ham have apparently showed quite a strong interest, but weren't willing to pay the money Wolves wanted. So yeah, we know what he is at this level. He's a good player at this level. Fits in most systems. Can play as either a 6, as a holding midfield player, or as he's done more so for Wolves, play a little bit further forward as one of the 2 8s in a 3-man midfield. But from a Wolves point of view, we've now seen that they've got Mateus Nunes in, who is that upgrade on him.
We talked about the incomings, but you're just doing something else while that was on. Talked about incomings and whether we were still left short. When I say those 7 names, I didn't even mention Augustinson, who didn't play against Bolton due to a slight injury or whatever, but I wouldn't be surprised if he plays 2 or 3 games for Villa, and that is it. So maybe at best. So I say those 7 names, like I said, Coutinho, Olsen, backup players, Olsen, backup goalkeeper, Coutinho already here, Carlos gets injured, 2 today, Augustinson as a backup left back, who again probably won't really play. And then Kamara is the one standout, and a lot of people talking about how much we spent and stuff, but I think Kamara would have cost a pretty penny if he was not on a free transfer. So, I say we're short. There's no forwards there in any of those options. Coutinho obviously is the most creative player at number 10 or a left-sided attacker or whatever you want to deploy him as, but no striker there, no out-and-out winger. And like we said, Gerrard doesn't play wingers, but if Gerrard isn't here, we can't play wingers. Or if Gerrard decides to change his mind, he can't play wingers. That's a bit of a concern for me.
I think that's a big problem, because whatever system Gerrard uses, or whoever the manager is, it might be Gerrard to the end of the season, but whatever it is, we always need that width. And if you're playing with Bailey, the opposite side, it's just lopsided, isn't it? So I am staggered that we haven't got another wide man, or if we just kept Traore, because how much did we... Is it just a loan to Istanbul?
Just a loan, yeah.
Right, just a loan. Is there really much point in that? I don't see any harm in keeping him. If we're so limited out wide, leave him on the bench, or I'm sure he wasn't desperate to leave. So very surprised by that. But the incomings, again, Kamara and Carlos are the 2. I think I said to you earlier, Dan, we had a kind of a bright start to the window, and then I say a bright end. It was busy at the end, but you don't want to be busy at the end. And in the middle, there was nothing. So surprising, really, about how we started compared to how we ended. It's bizarre window in many ways.
Yeah, the transfer window's lasted 3 months, is it? May to August, or the end of September, the start of September. But Villa have only been active in the window for probably 7 days. 2 or 3 at the start, 2 or 3 at the end. But basically, we did nothing in the middle. You see things like the Sarr deal going for him and then pulling out due to wages or not fancying him or whatever the reasons are. But it shows you going after a forward attacking player, and then you don't go back in for one before the end of the window. And, players might not be available and stuff. And I don't want Villa to sign players for the sake of it, but it does leave us very limited now. That if we want to change system, I feel like we can't unless you're going to shoehorn Coutinho to play left wing for 20 games, which is not his position, is it? Or Watkins on left wing, which also is not his position.
No, yeah, John raised a good point. We look lopsided because Bailey's right in that winger, and like you say, I think we're crying out to play that winger system, whether it's a 4-2-3-1 and some wide men to cut. Like you say, over the last few games, Villa had no intensity in the attacking third, no creativity. the fullbacks have been exposed as well. So I'm staggered. Look like John not signing a winger and allowing a couple to leave. So strange one that one.
The comment is that Watkins was a winger for Brentford when we signed him, but he had that one season up front for them before he joined us, and then he's played as a striker since then. Is it a possibility that Watkins goes out wide and Danny Ings plays up front on his own? Danny Ings isn't a lone striker though.
I wouldn't be against saying that. I think the goal Watkins scored, Gerrard's first goal, or the first goal Villa scored when Gerrard was in, that was Watkins cutting off the left and hitting one at the top corner. But then you've got the argument of what if Danny Ings gasses out at 60 minutes? You got Cameron Archer, to be fair, I suppose. That could be an option. I did forget about Cameron Archer. I was kind of pushing him to leave on loan because I don't see how he's going to get minutes, but that's another conversation. I'd be happy to see Watkins play wise, but under Gerrard, I don't see that happening.
No, I don't think I really like that either. No, I can't see him liking that.
No, when you've been the main man up front, anyway. When you were the main man up front scoring 14 goals last season, you started the season this season as a striker as well, and then you go, we're going to force you onto left wing now because we need to change the system. It's not ideal, is it?
No.
And I would just scream of what have we been doing for 3 months? We try and get Sarr, but now it's actually we don't, and we live try. It's just confusion really. So, it's almost like if we're trying to hide that, like we should have got a winger. So if Watkins does go on the left, I don't think that's showing anything that we don't know already. We know that we don't have enough on that left side in terms of out and out width. So,
play Bailey one side and Buendia on the other side. You could do, and then a number 10 behind a striker. But again, it feels a little bit like we're trying to force positions that don't really work.
You've gotten, I don't know how many games it is. We probably should have done this before we came on, but obviously you got the World Cup. January probably isn't that many games away. Then off the top of my head, like maybe 10. Which is a lot of games, to be fair, but it's not as far away as, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 games in September, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in October, and then 1, 2 league games in November and the cup game against United. So that's 11 games, I think.
12,
although we come back just before the January window, don't we? 26th, so 13 games until the next transfer window opens. As if we were just talking about the January window.
Thinking about it.
27 minutes ago. Let's just park the transfer window for now. I'm sick of it. Let's go to outgoings then, I suppose, because I feel like we've done as much of the income. Actually, no, scrap that. Let's get rid of that. We're going back to incomings for a second. I wanted to have a little bit of a light-hearted chat about Bednarek. For those that have been on Villa Twitter for a couple of years now, Jan Bednarek has been linked with a Villa move every single window, apart from this one, funnily enough, and now it's actually happened. It's done a little bit of an ITK thing. These accounts rife with will just tweet any bit of info they had. So I caught up with Tom Cowley, who tricks people basically. I think it was the year that we got promoted and told people that Bednarek was going to be signing, and this journo, in quote marks, put it out that it was going to happen, and obviously it was all come out as a ruse. So I spoke to Tom and said, look, You've been calling this transfer for years and now it's finally happened. So, I've got a little clip from Tom. So ask John, you can relax for a couple of minutes. And Tom can tell us a story of how we almost signed Jan Bednarek about 3 seasons ago. Well, interesting asides from the Jan Bednarek deal is that this was a deal that's been reported on social media for about 5 seasons now, or whatever it was. I think the first time I saw it was in the promotion season, where there was rumours going around on social media that Jan Bednarek was going to sign, and it all came out that it was a ruse. And then every transfer window since, apparently we've been linked with him, and then finally now, a couple of years later, here we are with him. The man behind that rumour, I suppose, is Tom Cowley. Tom, do you want to just explain where this Jan Bednarek nonsense came up from 3 or 4 years ago and now where we are today?
It's a bit of a weird one, really. So, I think it was just after we got promoted that summer, we were signing so many players, and there was all these people kind of just trying to claim they had sources, these little in the know accounts that everyone loves, I'm sure. But, they were all kind of trying to claim, oh yeah, we know this, we know that, we're signing X player, Y player, so-and-so's told me, I've heard, all those kind of rumours. And I thought, they don't test these people. If they've got sources, they're definitely not going to do their kind of due diligence on them. So for a bit of a laugh, I turned to my mate, who just happens to be a Southampton fan, and I said to him, is there anybody kind of within that bracket that we were looking at the time? We were looking at younger players, up and coming players, stuff like that. And at the time, Jan Bednarek fit that bill. So he just turned to me and he said, what about Bednarek? So I dropped one of these accounts a little DM and just said, "Yeah, I've heard Jan Bednarek's joining Aston Villa," and obviously it got posted, and we had a bit of a banter on Twitter about the fact that it was a ruse. And then every window after that, it just became a bit of a running joke.
It's just a meme now, isn't it?
Yeah, it was if someone said, "Oh, Jan Bednarek's signing for Villa," everyone would instantly go, "Hey, you've been caught out. This nice one." And it was every summer, every January we've done it. And then this window, just for no reason, we just thought, "Oh, it's not going to happen anymore, is it? We're past Jan Bednarek, so I won't bother making that rumour up anymore. It's got a bit old now." And then first I saw about it was some Polish journalist was getting a lot of stick and people tagging me in things and laughing at him, and I was going, "This isn't me." And I had to explain to this guy that there was this running joke going on Villa Twitter, and then obviously it's been reported everywhere now, and it looks like it's going to happen, or maybe it has happened.
Yeah, by the time we're recording this, it's not officially gone through yet, but if anyone is seeing this little snippet of the podcast, it has happened because I've just inserted this into the announcement episode.
Yeah, it's just quite bizarre. And there we go, we have all those in the know accounts, and little did I know, accidentally, I was leaking transfer news 3 years early.
I love that. What do you make of the signing there? We'll get serious for a minute or so just before we go back to the rest of the live podcast. This is really weird to record this like this early in me.
I think it's quite a solid sign. I think he adds a bit of physicality that we need now. Carlos is injured, and I think it's a nice little stopgap. I mean, if we were spending money on him, I know originally it was rumoured 10, 15 million, something like that. That was probably, I was a bit worried about that, to be honest. But on loan for the season, just add a bit of presence, a bit of depth, Premier League experience, international caps. I think you can't really complain, to be honest. I think it's probably as good as we can hope to get at this stage of the window. And yeah, you never know. He might kind of become a starter for us. He might not. He might be back up. But at least then we've got with Hawes going and with Carlos out, we needed another centre back, and I think he fits the bill for me. So I'm fairly happy.
So that's a little story of Jan Bednarek's eventual move to Aston Villa. I'm apologising in advance that this is already running on a little bit further than I thought. We've not even spoken about outgoings yet. There's one thing I wanted to chuck both your way, a little bit of a conspiracy theory, again, on Villa Twitter this evening. Feel free to chuck this in the bin if you like. No quotes or pictures from Steven Gerrard on the two signings tonight. Now, when we sign a player, it's obviously not deadline day. Deadline day is very busy, so maybe he's off on phone calls and in meetings and trying to work out with the deals. So I can kind of give him benefit of the doubt of maybe not being at Bodymore and being available for pictures. But there's usually some kind of quotes from the manager in press releases and asking the players, "Oh, you must have grown up watching Steven Gerrard. What's it like to play under him?" And there was none of that tonight. And the conspiracy theorists on Twitter are saying, "Oh, maybe they know that Steven Gerrard is on his way out as manager, so there's no point asking him what he thinks of Bednarek and Dendoncker." Is that too overcritical and overthinking, or is this just the madness of deadline day that Gerrard is maybe busy on the phone or whatever?
I think it's right to look into that. Yes, I don't think the players have spoken about the manager as well. Where previously, look at Diego Carlos and Kamara, they've said the manager is a big attraction for me. They haven't mentioned Gerrard once, I don't believe. But yeah, usually on the press releases they send across or on the website, head coach Steven Gerrard said, blah blah blah. Pretty every deal, so quite telling that for me. Okay, you can look into it a bit too much, but yeah, it's usually the thing to do. So we'll see. What do you think, John?
You're on mute, John. Sorry, I had to mute you. Can you unmute yourself? Sorry, that was my fault.
It's my bad. Yeah, he's a bit suspect. I think, again, it's only natural that you do get those quotes from Gerrard, and as Ash says, every sort of player that we've signed so far has been convinced to join because of Gerrard. So maybe this is a bit of a departure from that. And potentially it's just the media team, I don't know, speaking it into existence, that they're probably covering themselves and the players. The players don't want to come out and say, "Oh yeah, I came because of Gerrard and can't wait to play under him." And then who knows, two weeks later, there's obviously a different situation. So no, I think it's probably just maybe just covering the club. But obviously it's out there. Every player that Villa have signed for the last however long, there's always been quotes, whether it's Dean Smith or whoever. Every player, even youth players, you always get quotes from academy managers and other people. So yeah, it's different compared to how we usually unveil the players.
There's a comment from Milan who says Dendoncker did touch on the manager in his video interview. He said good or great manager is what Milan's put here. So maybe we're reading too much in something that doesn't exist. But you
but not
also
asked directly.
You also don't ask the players about the manager who they know is about to get the sack or whatever. Or, I don't know, whatever. Let's talk about outgoings then.
Under pressure.
Put it that way. Outgoings then. It's a bigger list, but a few loan players. Traore, Trezeguet, El Ghazi, Keenan Davis, Matt Targett, which feels like about 3 transfer windows ago, to be honest.
Yeah.
Chukwuemeka, both of them. Carney to Chelsea and Caleb to anyone
Crawley.
or something. Crawley, whatever. Kalinic, who I forgot was even here. Harahan, who he went out on loan last year, didn't he? And his contract expired this year, but still outgoing from the first team, I guess. Philogene Badice, or Philogene, sorry. Courtney Hawes, Wesley as well, also gone out on loan. Sinisalo, and the one today, which is probably the most attention grabbing, is Tim Orabunam to QPR, Michael Beale's QPR. Is that the biggest interesting one for you, Ashley Orabunam, or is there another one there that jumps out as being a big loss or not a loss at all?
The biggest there is probably Carney, isn't it? Going from nearly £20 million. That's a good sale from Villa. But yeah, Tim, I think he needed to go out. Great move for him to link up with Michael Beale. Michael Beale will look after him down there. I might venture down there to see Tim in action once he gets in the side and see how Michael Beale's QPR play and see how it differs to Villa. Could head down there to see him. But yeah, I'm pleased he's headed out on loan. Wanted to see more of him, but I think it'd be unfair to chuck him in given Villa's circumstance at the moment. So yeah, good move for Tim, that one. Bright future for him. Like him a lot. Get a decent fee for Matt Targett was pretty decent for me. A player who didn't really want to fight for his shirt, wanted to leave at the first opportunity. The Villa recuperated £15 million, just short of that. That's pretty good going from Villa because Villa don't really tend to get much back, don't they? So I think they banked around £35 to £40 million this summer, which is good going, really. Getting fees for Trezeguet and people like that. But like you say, short of a winger now. So, yeah. But yeah, I think overall, the outgoings, I think the Carney one was a big shock, given the fee Chelsea paid for him. But I'm pretty pleased Tim's headed out, and I'm pleased Cameron Archer's staying around as well, to be fair. I think we need him.
Yeah, as much as the outgoing section is about the ones that have left, it's also about the ones that have stayed, Archer and Luiz, which we'll talk about in a sec. John, your thoughts on Sanson, Gilbert? I mean, God, this podcast is going to last forever. John, your thoughts on the 10 or so names that I spoke about there? Any of those stand out for you?
Yeah, echo what Asher said. Carney's obviously the big one, 20 million or so for, is he 18, 19? Really good business for Villa. That obviously 12 months on his deal. Chelsea was almost seemed like the only club, not the only club that were interested, but the only club that were interested this summer to pay a fee, and then we got exactly what we wanted. So brilliant business. And then for Tim, really good. I think almost, not just Bale and someone that we know is a really good coach and someone who can develop players and someone who can fit in straight away. And has obviously been training under him for nearly a year. But he's also QPR, who are going for promotion this season. So if he can play any sort of significant part in their season, he's playing with really good players, playing at a really good competitive level. So yeah, brilliant loan move for him. I'm surprised it almost took so long because I'm not too sure where. I don't know if that was Villa trying to, assess his options, but it kind of seemed like a banker for me as soon as Beale went in there that would be something that they'd be looking at. But no, the rest expected. I don't know. Shout out to Conor Hoare and everything he did for the club. El Ghazi as well. A couple of sort of cult heroes leaving. Trezeguet as well for what he did. Matt Targett, good fee. And then the rest. Phil Jane out on loan. Davis out on loan. I'm surprised he went back on loan to Watford. I thought Villa might be able to get a bit of money for him, especially because Nottingham Forest have bought 45 players. So it's shame that we couldn't.
You say 45 as a joke, then it's not a million miles away.
It was an estimate, yeah. No, I just thought we could maybe get a decent fee. I think the report was saying like 15 million something is what we had maybe as a target to get. I don't think we were going to get near that, but something around, I don't know, 7 million or something. I think, because I don't think we'll get more than that, even if Davis plays well now for Watford and they get promoted, because that would just be 1 year less on his contract. So maybe just a bit disappointed. I'm disappointed for Davis as well, because then that would have been a really good move for him. Finally settled somewhere, and now he's gone back to the Championship, and hopefully it works out for Watford and he can, get permanent there if they get promoted too. Because I think that he's from that part of the world, isn't he? I think he's from around Hertfordshire. So plenty of business done. Again, as Ash says, a lot of money coming into the club as well, although that's a lot of players leaving. it's nice to see us, raising funds for once.
I think you and me, Ash, talked about Bruno going out on loan months ago, that it probably would be the best course of action for him and the club to get him some game development time. So, White's been left late. You do wonder maybe the Douglas Luiz thing had an impact in it. If he'd gone to Arsenal tonight, would Tim Overburnham stayed around potentially?
Maybe.
Let's talk about Luiz then. It's been a funny old night, hasn't it, on social media? Arsenal fans tracking a black minivan across the M40 or whatever motorway is down to London. Absolutely bizarre. I mean, it's a transfer deadline day madness. There was, I think it was a Villa fan originally, actually, that drove past Douglas Luiz's house, allegedly. I don't know whether it is his house or not. I don't even know why we're talking about it. Drives past, sees a black minivan at the drive at the gates, drives past later going, oh, it is his house. Look, there's his Lamborghini. That's still there, but this black van's gone now. And then a few minutes later, Arsenal fans are tracking this black minivan from the CCTV of a motorway saying, oh, he's on the way to Colney to come and have a medical. Is that Colney? Is that Arsenal? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's on his way. TalkSport saying it's a 22 million bid, then it's a 23, 24, 25. It keeps going up bit by bit, bit by bit. And then at this point, he's still here anyway. So I don't know how much of that has been legitimate over the day, whether Luiz actually does want to leave. I mean, if he goes on a free next year, he gets a massive pay rise, big time on bonus. I've seen a lot of players leave on frees now across world football. Like it's a good thing for a player to do financially. So I'm glad he stayed from a football perspective. And if Villa pick up and start doing well, maybe the manager changes at some point, because Luiz obviously isn't getting a look in at the moment on Gerrard, and he should be, I think. Maybe he'll sign a new contract at some point. There's two things that happen to Douglas Luiz now. He goes on a free, or he signs a new contract, because we've lost out on the chance to get any money for him now. Would you have taken, if you were in charge, if you were on that phone call at Bodymore today for Christian Perzo and Edu or whatever it was, would you have said yes to 25?
Douglas, would you want to leave? Yes, I'd have said yes. Go, we'll bank the money. If you don't apply for us, I'd say go.
No replacement though.
Bank cash it now. It all depends on the conversations he's had. I think his agents were pushing it more than the player himself. Perzo's a tough negotiator, has been for a long time, and she dug his heels today. And I think if Arsenal went to that £30 million fee, close to that, I think the deal would have been done there. So be interested to see how it plays out now, Dan and John, and how the player will react to not getting his move to Arsenal. Edu's a big fan of him, worked with Arteta before, as we've said. Bit of a Brazilian contingent down there as well. So be interested to see how he reacts. And I'm gutted. I've got to keep asking the Douglas Luiz contract questions now at press conferences. Stephen, Douglas Luiz contract, any latest on that? I'll be doing that tomorrow, no doubt. Early press conference tomorrow. I know. But
it is a weird one, because
it is
Gerrard himself, and I think you said about it. There was no comparison with the Chukwuemeka situation, who was kind of frozen out and then eventually gone. Douglas Luiz has been in and around the squad. He looks happy. The Villa media team are always posting him on social media, smiling in training and things like that. And it's always like everyone's going, oh, he'll sign a new contract at some point. And then it comes to deadline day, and it's like, oh no, he scored against Arsenal last night from a direct corner, but now he's leaving. It's like, well, where the hell did that come from? Like, we know this contract's been on the table for weeks or months, or however long it's been, and it doesn't look like he wants to sign it. But he's not being frozen out like Chukwuemeka was, and we haven't cashed in on him when this is the last opportunity to do so. So you do wonder how he kind of bounces back from that, because if he kicks up a fuss and throws his toys out the pram, we should have let him go, because you don't want a bad egg around the place. But he's in the squads, he's getting minutes to a degree. If he carries on playing okay and playing well, I'd rather have the player than the 20-odd million, I think. Yeah, because he could be important to us for this season.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a bad egg or kick up a fuss to them, just because is what we just said there. He's been in the club for like 3 years, but he hasn't signed a new deal. He hasn't demanded more money. He's still on the same contract as what he was when he first joined, and I presume the contract that Arsenal would have given him and shown him today would have been a lot more lucrative than what he's on for Villa now, even though, of course, there's a contract on the table from Villa too. But I don't think it's a bad egg, as you say. He's got a lot of mates in the dressing room. He's obviously, I think it's a girlfriend that he's got in the Villa ladies team as well. So he's clearly settled. He likes where he is. I don't think it's been, kicking him a fuss. I think it probably suited him to go to Arsenal, especially now because they don't have any injuries. He goes straight in that team, and he's probably playing week in, week out for a few weeks, which is obviously a massive benefit for him, playing in an Arsenal team at the top of the league. So I can understand his appeal to go there, of course. But the move hasn't happened, it hasn't materialised, and the Villa have dug in the heels. And absolutely. So if their valuation wasn't met, so yeah, I think it's one of those where you just move on. I think again, Douglas isn't going to be frozen out by his teammates. It's not a situation where people are questioning his loyalties necessarily, because at the end of the day, it's a transfer window, and these moves seem to go down to the wire for one reason or another. Again, he was playing against Arsenal yesterday and celebrating his goal, obviously, and then hours later, it's sign on for us. It's for Arsenal, so it's a strange situation, but yeah, here we are, and kind of let's go again. I think Villa might try and knuckle him down for another year, perhaps just to retain that value, because obviously he's going to be leaving on a free. I doubt that's going to be the case now that we haven't given him that move. Don't know if he's going to be necessarily up for sticking around again, knowing how hard we are going to be to negotiate that same fee in a year's time. So probably going to be leaving on a free, or maybe in January for a fee. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm with Ash. It's a struggle, because what do you do with a player who doesn't want to be playing? Again, he's not going to down tools, but I don't know. Maybe we didn't have that replacement ready, but kind of, again, surely we saw this coming. There was always going to be interest in Luiz towards the end. I don't know. Maybe we just wanted to keep him, and there was no replacement that we thought would have been good enough to sort of fill his shoes.
Yeah, always been a bit of time, doesn't it, till January as well to sound out a replacement. There'll be a bidding war in January, no doubt. Should no contract be signed? Atletico Madrid very keen on him. European clubs
in January. Well, I'm not getting confused here. Can't they agree like a pre-contract?
Pre-contract, sorry. Yeah.
We don't get money then, though, do we?
No, I didn't mean a bidding war as such as in that, but they'll all be just in position for him. They'll all be offering the world, and there'll be clubs in for him. So, and Villa can sign that replacement.
That's why Arsenal are probably so desperate to get it done today, bidding three different times. They know that competition is going to be there, especially with those bigger European clubs who don't have a load of money to spend now. But if it's a free deal, they can offer him whatever they want. So
I wouldn't be mega surprised if Villa have got to massively improve their form for this to happen in the first place. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a 2-year contract and some kind of release clause to a Champions League side for 30 million or 35 million or something. Yeah, right. If someone comes in January or next summer, maybe that's the way around it, and he kind of does a nice one for the club to get a bit of money in, but he doesn't have to do that, and he'll leave on a free next season and get a massive pay rise and a big sign-on fee. So that's the modern game, that's football. But if we're struggling this season in midfield like we are, I'd rather Douglas Luiz be in the side than not. So I'd rather that than 25 million.
And we're not in that position where we can say to Luiz, if you don't want to play, you can't, because ultimately the midfield at the moment isn't very good. So we're in that position, whether we like it or not. We can't really be freezing anyone out because of what's happening in the transfer market. Unfortunately, these players have got to play, and they've got to play well, because we're in a mess. So, yeah.
Just a quick word on Cameron Archer for you, Ash, another one that's now going to be staying at the club. I'm going to flash up a graphic that I prepared at some point during the summer. I know there's a few more of these I'll show in a second. Got this prepared at some point. Cameron Archer joins Watford on loan. So I thought, well, this is going to happen, so I'll be ready. I'll be prepared. I'll get my stuff done. I think that's a great positive that he's still here, because we're going to struggle for goals at some stage. Again, I'd rather Archer there than be out on loan.
Yeah, more minutes, please. More minutes. Like I say, he's riding on the crest of a wave at the moment. Full of confidence, and that's been curbed a little bit given the amount of minutes he's had. I think he only had eight minutes at Bolton, a game I thought he should have started, really, given the form he's shown. So pleased he's sticking around. And just want to see more of him. Want to see him have 20 minutes, half an hour, get into a game, have some chances, because more often than not he scores. So Gerrard's been reluctant to do that at the moment. So I don't know if he's protecting him or anything like that, but he's here. He's in the first team squad for a reason. He wants to play football, so hopefully that's the case moving forward. I want to see much more of him. His confidence, he's a player in form, and that's a good thing to have. So, yeah, I want to see more of Cameron. So that's a positive. He's staying around, because Watkins, Archer, and Ings. That's all we got in front now.
Like I said, I'll prepare these graphics. It doesn't mean that I knew anything. It's not that these deals were going to happen at some point, but I thought, it's good to be prepared to, if Villa post something, I can also post something. Do you want to have any guesses of other graphics I prepared this season for incomings? I'll flash them up.
Conor Gallagher, Ismail Assar.
Conor Gallagher, yeah, got that ready to go just in case. Ismail Assar had that ready just in case. This is my favourite one. I put loads of everything to this one. got Basuma in the shirt and everything.
Oh my God.
This was the first one. I was like, oh, I'll make loads of effort here. And then I thought, well, that's not happened, so I've wasted my time. Calvin Bassey at one point.
Yeah.
Tarkovsky at one point. And then the final one, which I love. I love this graphic, and I'm gutted I didn't get to use it. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Luis Suarez in the shirt.
There's something in that one, you know. There's something in Suarez one.
But yeah, I had all those prepared, and I thought, I'm not going to let them go to waste. I'll just use them on the podcast at a random point instead. We're going to talk about best 11 quickly before we go to bed. Never mind, end the podcast. Best 11. So, like I said, it's 7 incomings now. Coutinho, Carlos, Kamara, and Dendoncker, probably the biggest 3 or 4. Obviously, Carlos now injured. So we'll do a best 11 each. Now, this isn't necessarily what Gerrard will play or ex-new manager will play. If you were thrust into the dugout, Ash, not necessarily against Man City, because I think you probably play 9 at the back for that game. What would your best Aston Villa 11 be now the deadline is over?
I don't think the manager knows himself either. Best 11. Tough one. Players are not in form, are they? You go Martinez in goal. I'm saying a bit of a stinker last night, but yeah. Martinez in goal. Iffy game last night, yeah. No really cover elsewhere, isn't it? Matty Cash picks itself, doesn't it, Dan? It's a bit of a Matty Cash, Kansas probably ahead of Chambers and Bednarek at the moment. Probably start Bednarek, you know, why not? New signing, throw him in. Mings, I think Mings has had a decent start to the season. He's been okay every time he's played, hasn't he, John? I think he's been well. His body's on the line. He's done the basics right, Mings. He's the one that's puffed his chest out and had a good go. I really like Tyrone Mings, the way he's come back from those comments today at Bournemouth and being dropped and the captaincy change. I think Mings has done well for me. He does get a bit of stick, doesn't he, Mings? But he started the season pretty well. Luca Dean, a bit of a bad start to the season for him. Haven't seen the levels he hit last season when he first signed. So, yeah, he starts at left back, doesn't he? He's got no real competition now. Other than Ashley Young and Augustinson, are we going to see him? I don't know. I haven't seen too much of him to say he can come in and start games. So that would be that. I would like to see the Kamara and Dendoncker as a 2 in midfield, as holding 2 really good sizes there. Brings that physicality Villa have lacked, and a good base and a good protection in front of the back 4. Then pair, I think that could work well, and it's something Villa might try. Gerrard did try a 4-2-3-1 in pre-season, but not very often. I think it's maybe 1 or 2 halves in the friendly. So he has been reluctant to play that system. So we'll see if he changes tactics in that way. And then you'd probably say a 3 behind a Watkins, maybe Buendia, Bailey. If McGinn as a 10, maybe. I don't know, Dan. It's a tough one for me. A lot of square pegs in round holes, and it all depends on the system. Coutinho concerns me. He's pulling up with cramp after 60 minutes in 2 games. That's a big concern for me. It's tough to pick the best team. I don't know what the people say in the comments, maybe. What's your best team, John? It's tough, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, that's...
Well, it's that Archer.
I mean, the fact that we're all talking about best team and we've all started with I'm worried, concerned, and big size probably tells you everything you need to know.
I think, I don't know, a couple of months ago I thought that centre-back partnership would be the hardest decision. But now I don't know what formation we're going to play, and I don't know who's playing in those 4 positions or who plays at white. There's loads of questions. I have no idea. Martinez, Cash, Luca Dean as fullbacks. Mings has to play. Obviously, Carlos plays when he's fit. Between Bednarek, Konsa and Chambers, whoever's most in form, I really don't know.
Flip a coin for that.
Any one of them, Kamara has to play. It's honestly a really tough one.
It's tough, isn't it?
I say Luiz, but it's I feel like we give a bit of stick for Gerrard for not having his formation, but I haven't got a clue either.
It's tough.
We're not football managers, mate.
We talk a lot about it. Kamara, I'm going to play McGinn because, again, I think he cops a lot of unwarranted sticks sometimes. I think he's asked to do a job that he probably isn't best served at doing. Kamara, McGinn, and I like Dendoncker. I like Luiz and Ramsey. I think it's options. That's what we've got. I think we've got a lot of options, but we haven't this summer taken that step up to what we needed to do in terms of this is designated formation, and here's the player that takes this position to a new level. Instead, I think we've just got more questions, which if we had loads of injuries wouldn't be a problem. But it's I don't know. Kamara, McGinn, and Dendoncker because he's new. Why not? And Watkins up front, Bailey, and Buendia.
Yeah, I think I agree with yours, John. More so, a lot of the comments are throwing Bednarek and Dendoncker straight in there, in their kind of predicted best 11s, whatever you want to call it. A lot of them have Coutinho not in the side as well, which he's a summer signing. I know he was here last year, but we spent money on him and not in our best 11. It's not great, is it? I think it might go back to the 4-3-1-2 now. With a more solid midfield and Kamara and Dendoncker as a 2, one of Luiz, McGinn or Ramsey is the other third one. Ings and Watkins up front with probably Coutinho behind Buendia is probably what Gerrard would pick. I think he's got the players now to stick with a 4-3-1-2 and have Archer as backup.
Difficult one on Dendoncker because he only ever played as that pair, if I'm not mistaken, with Wolves, I think anyway, because they always played the 3 at the back with Nuno. He usually always played as a 2 and if he was playing midfield. And as we don't play with the 2, do we? So again, I don't know if that's a Gerrard signing. I don't know if Bednarek was Gerrard's first. Who knows? But I know that Dendoncker doesn't play in a 3. He probably can, but he hasn't. So yeah.
I think that's probably it, isn't it? There's a couple of people that asked whether the new signings can play Saturday, and it's usually the 12 o'clock the day before the next round of fixtures, and obviously it's Leicester Man United was this midweek's round of fixtures tonight, so they're in tonight ready for the next round of fixtures, which starts tomorrow. Obviously for Saturday night, I think Dendoncker probably comes straight in. To be honest, I don't know about Bednarek. Probably Mings and Constance stay. I think Dendoncker comes in just for some physicality in the middle. Kamara and Luiz is probably a bit of an interesting one. Does he now start after scoring against Arsenal and this little mini transfer saga of 24 hours? Does he come in and keep hold of the ball off Man City a little bit? I mean, is that even possible? I don't know. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's now, should we just keep going to midnight just so we can say we're into the next day? 3 minutes to go. There's nothing else to say, there isn't really. We're literally just clutching at straws at this point. Oh, right, in the window, of course. We haven't done it, so we are going to get into Friday here. How do we rate the window then? Out of 10? A to F, whatever you want. Let's do out of 10, actually. That's probably more fair. Start at you, Ash. If you're rating the window, the ins and outs, the money spent, the money bought in, from 1 to 10, 0 to 10, what are you going for?
5, middle of the road. 5, banked a bit of cash for the carnies and stuff at Target and doing what they did on deadline day. It's tough to do business on deadline day and getting him here. I don't know. It's got to be. It can't be more than a 5, can it? I don't know. The Ago injury is massive, isn't it? That's a big blow. So caught up some slack there, but yeah, Kamara's a gem. Kamara's a massive signing, and we just want a bit more from the others, really. So we'll see. Yeah, probably a 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can go higher than 5. 4 comments coming, or 3 comments coming in so far. 4 or 5, and there was a 6 to be fair from Michael. John, what would you go for?
Yeah, I think the Kamara signing alone means that it can't be below a 4. But I think we've improved that position. We've obviously improved the centre half position, and although it's an injury, you have to still class that as a good signing. But I don't think we've taken the team to that next level, really. Although we've got really good players, and I know we're talking off the back of 4 defeats out of 5, but I just don't see it in us that we've got everything perfect like I think we probably should have after spending so much money after that Grealish sale 2 years ago. Luiz contract as well, we didn't get that sorted, although we kept him. We're now probably going to lose him for free. We don't have that wide player either, so yeah, I'm with Ash. 5 is probably about fair. 6 is as generous as I can go. Between 4 and 6, so yeah, 5, middle of the road.
Between 4 and 6 so far. All right, we'll call it a day there. Ash, John. Sorry, John. Thank you very much for joining me on Thursday evening at 23:59 as we're about to end this podcast. How many seconds till Friday? I don't know. Yeah, cheers for watching. There's 500 people watching at midnight on Friday morning, which is mental. There's been a lot of Villa podcasts tonight, which I've said, I'm surprised you're not Villa'd out after that. Match preview tomorrow, Ash.
Early press conference tomorrow, quarter past 9. So you'll have your updates from 10 o'clock, nice and early. What would you ask Gerrard if you could? What question would you put to him?
Probably can't say. I don't know.
The Douglas Luiz stuff will dominate that, won't it? What happened there?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what the dynamics is with Langer. How that relationship's working at the moment. Given obviously the Sarr deal breaking down and stuff like that, and how it plays out. I'm wondering, does Gerrard have much of a say now? Because obviously, I think previously Dean Smith did. Yeah, go on.
I was just saying maybe Pokemon Dendoncker a little bit, because obviously that, again, I'm not sure if that was a Gerrard signing.
Pokemon
completely. Why not? Yeah, I don't know. I obviously wanted more profile in the team, but I'm not sure if that was exactly what Gerrard wanted. I don't know.
Interesting.
I mean, he was already asked about whether he was worried about his job, so there's probably no point asking that because he already said yes. I'd probably ask, does he?
This game couldn't come at a worse time for Gerrard. It really couldn't. I know we got Leicester coming after this, which is also a horrendous game if we don't collect what we need to. But you don't need City. You just don't.
I'd probably just say, do you know your best 11 yet? We're going to be 6 games in. Do you know what your best side is yet?
Yeah, that's it. We'll see. We'll see what comes out tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. It is now Friday morning. We're into the next day. The podcast has spanned an entire day. So both, thank you very much for joining me. Thanks to the 500 people that have watched on deadline day evening. Like I said, we'll be back with a match preview at some point tomorrow, probably around lunchtime, to chat about whatever is the latest from Gerrard, any injury news, predicted 11s, all those kind of things. Actually, your predictions are pretty good, by the way. You got close again the other day, and you've got the bottom one right as well.
I didn't, did I? I backed to Villa, wasn't it, the Emirates?
Oh, yeah, it was Pat. I think it was Pat that got close then. Yeah. What were you thinking? Backing us to win. So, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, and then Saturday's game day, and we'll be back for another podcast after that as well. So, thanks everyone for sticking with us over the busy summer. It's now on to go and win some games starting tomorrow.
Come on.
Saturday. Oh, it is tomorrow, yeah, Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much for watching. Have a good sleep, both, everybody else, and we'll see you again in about 12 hours.
Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.